Hi everyone, today I have for you another of my competitive practice sessions where I practice with the deck I used in the previous SC that was held just recently. This deck, as I mentioned before, is based on Timmy's World's list that came in second place. A lot of the cards in here are very well justified and it's a very aggressive wizard deck. Let's see how the aggression comes into play when I face up against my opponent who is playing the pub. Once again, this is pre-most wanted, so my deck has a lot of clone chips, and my opponent's deck has a lot of Astro Scripts, Sense, and Biotic labels. This is Astrobiotics, so my first turn's pretty standard. I think I'll replay that. The video goes by very fast, but basically I keep my opening hand because it contains draw in I've had worse, burst draw. I mean, all my cards are burst draw, and show gamble. Show gamble is nice to get me going, and that means that I can play I've had worse without going below 6 credits, which is the magic number needed to play Liberator accounts. I draw into these cards. Usually I would attempt to start running my opponent's remotes to preemptively trash their assets, but drawing into a KD Jones makes my next 2 clicks the decision for my next 2 clicks very clear. I also kept my opening hand because of the turntable. You want an early turntable so you can threaten agenda steals very quickly. So here my opponent gets a single advance card out on the remote that I did not check. There are not that many things that the single advance card can be, honestly. So after getting the SMC out of my hand, in case it's a Junebug, I want to have the SMC on the board, not in my hand to get sniped off. I check the remote, and it turns out to be an NAPD contract. So this guy's playing a very slimy, very slimy. If I steal it right now, I'll go down to 2 credits. I have 1 more click left. I could liberate KD, but I'll be on 5 credits to my opponent's 8. And if he really is playing mid-seasons, which seems to be what he's baiting me with here, I'm gonna be in a lot of trouble. I would have to float tax. That means I'll lose my resource-based economy in the form of KT, which is very bad because I don't have my board set up yet, and a lot of my economy is based on resources. So I cannot afford to get tagged at this point. After a long, hard think about it, I took a very long time to ponder over this decision, but I realized that if he were to advance it next turn, and he has to, basically, he's forced to, if he advances it next turn, he's going to be set back quite a bit, enough for me to catch up in other areas. So I let the agenda go. You'd never want any H to get to an early start with agendas, but hey, at least it's not an Astro. So I'm going to set up, got money here, got KD going with 6 credits, and I ditched the spoon here because judging by how my opponent is rushing, I don't think he's going to get a toll booth going. So I can let the spoon go. Spoon is usually used for either toll booth or remote Turing's. I go for the turntable and attempt an R&D run here. This is pretty good. If I hit a 15 minutes of breaking news, I'm going to swap it over and I'll get the 2 points that he scored last turn, which is a huge benefit for me. He gets the Architect out. I use SMC for Mimic. I don't see anything worth of any value. So the game goes on, and you notice that he iced up server 2, which was a naked install previously. So from this, you can more or less gather that the card inside it is probably a Sense Grid. If it's an agenda, he would have scored it by now, and he would also probably have rested if it were an asset, say Pack, KPR, DBS. So it's almost certainly a Sense Grid in there. The Architect says a lot. Architect basically you can eliminate any most possibilities of my opponent running the kill combo, so that means the plus grid in my hand is not that essential. I draw into a Utopia shard here, and this seems like a very useful card to have right now, so I'm just going to run his hand. There's not much he can hit me here. If you think about the possibilities, the worst case is probably a toll booth. It really is, and losing 3 credits isn't a big deal when my opponent goes down to 2. If it's an Enigma, it's very good because I don't actually lose the click. I'm running last click. Ichi would be pretty bad, admittedly, but I can't afford to lose a single Mimic. I can always resurrect it with Clone Chip. So all in all, there's not much reason to fear running HQ. I'm doing it, and I'm going to get the Utopia shard out. This is going to threaten him if he chooses to play Fast Track or anything, or any kill combo for that matter. Rather any mid-seasons, because you still have to remember that earlier on he did the NAPD play, which means I suspect he probably is running some sort of mid-season psychographics along with the typical fast advance. So if I can snipe the mid-seasons from his hand, I'll be in a good spot. He gets the Jackson going and smartly ices up the Jackson, which means I cannot run it to force him to pop the Jackson. So I'll need to be a bit more creative with how I go about trashing the Jackson. You need to trash the Jackson. I don't want him to see any of his combo, like fast advance combo or anything. I run his hand and I steal an Astro Pilot program. Yeah, that was a pretty good decision to run his hand there, because when he dropped with Jackson, he did not ditch anything to archives. So all agendas that he drew would be in his hand. HQ would have been very ripe for the picking. You have to know that there are lots of agendas in any H's HQ. Hit HQ fast and often. This was a pretty good steal. There's not much point in turntabling it, so the game goes on. But denying one Astro is kind of a big deal. You don't want him to start the Astro train. He continues installing more stuff and now ices up HQ, so it's going to be a bit harder to apply HQ pressure like I usually do. But I've been drawing up quite a bit. I've been getting KD to go, so I have a decent number of credits. I can now run the remote, see the Sansan grid, and trash it. I trash the Sansan City grid here because I'm afraid of fast advance. He only has 5 credits, but I want to trash it while I still have access to the server, while the ice is still unrest. Yes, because I don't run Cloud here, I cannot afford to let him score a Bill. Not even an Astro. If he scores a Bill, he's up to 4 points, that's a bit dangerous. He gets a DBS going. That's another card I want to kill. Jackson Howard still hasn't been killed. I'm definitely looking to kill them at some point. As Wizard, you can afford to kill them pretty easily with your recurring credits. But first, I run his Server 5 because I suspect he's trying to divert attention away from it. Turns out it's just a Cyberdex, no big deal. Now I run the DBS to trash it. So now DBS is gone. And here I have 2 clicks left. With those 2 clicks, I don't really have much I need to do. I do not really need to pressure R&D yet because I don't have a medium. I could pressure HQ here, but it's probably not worth it given that the outer ice is probably like a pop-up window or something. And I just don't have the economic strength to challenge HQ repeatedly just yet. What I really want to do is to stop him from drawing into more money and more fast advance tools and more assets. So I want to contest the Jackson. So with the remaining 2 clicks, I load up KT and run the server. This is because I suspect an Enigma on this server. I do not wish to lose a click to it, so I'm running last click. The worst this could be is an Ichi, which he cannot res because he's only on 4 credits. So knowing the possible ice that can hit you helps a lot. Clearly, he cannot defend his Jackson, so he doesn't even bother resing the ice. Instead, he sacks the Jackson. So this accomplished exactly what I want to do. Because if you notice, I use my recurring credits to trash the DBS. I didn't really want to use Wizard's credits to trash Jackson Howard. I mean, my own credits to trash Jackson Howard. But he sacked the Jackson for me, so it was a gain for me overall. I forced all his assets out, and now I can start focusing on building my board. Except that I can't, because now he places remote pressure again. I'm forced to run his remotes. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I still suspect this is an Enigma. And it's only logical that looking at my programs that he would go for scoring an agenda behind the Enigma. So I'm going to challenge the Enigma. And the solution to the Enigma is either Artman at 2, which cost me 5 credits to play, a bit too expensive. I'll prefer using my Yogg, which is in my stack, which I can tutor with SMC. It's gonna cost a lot, 7 credits, hence the Stim hack. Of course, he always has the option of not resing the ice, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't res it here. But that's completely fine. Either way, I'm still bringing out my Yogg. If you're wondering why I'm so obsessed about the Enigma, it's simple. I think I saw it on R&D a while back. So, knowing that the Enigma is somewhere on the board, I would definitely like to nullify the Enigma completely by bringing the Yogg out preemptively. Turns out it's not an agenda, it's Jackson Howard. And I'm going to waste the 2 extra Stim hack credits left over. That's fine. I still have a lot of money on KD Jones. I'll take them all off now. And I hope that the card inside server 2 is not an agenda. Well, it's just a gamble that I have to take. I can't afford to run last click because it could be an Ichi. Turns out it is an agenda, so that's not good for me. I need to put the pedal to the metal and start running R&D. At least he doesn't have too many credits now, so I don't have to worry about Tollbooth just yet. Break through the Architect, see a pop-up, nothing much. I really need my medium right now. I don't find it. KD Jones, yeah, not much useful on the first peddler, so I pedal for another peddler. And this, I think the second peddler contains something useful. You'll see in a moment. But for now, my opponent continues solidifying with a scoring remote. So this is the shell game you really don't want to play. 2 unknown eyes. I mean, he's only on 5 credits, but you don't really want to get taxed out running through this remote. It could be a pop-up window there, which would gain him money. That's not good. Could be, yeah. Basically, I don't really want to play his remote game. I'd rather go for R&D. Why is that? Because he's going to let me through the first ice, and after that, I can liberate the medium of my street peddler. So that was what I was looking for. A multi-dig R&D dig. I ran third click here, and he did not rest the outermost ice. That's quite important. That was a risk I took because this could have been an Ichi that would trash one of my programs, which is not ideal. But seeing that he let me through on the third click means that this is not an Ichi. So this is something that is either useless, like the Enigma, which my York breaks for free, or is too expensive for me to rest, like a toll booth. So in any scenario, it's worth it for me to run last click. I'm not worried about anything except an Ichi at this point, so I'm going to get 3 accesses, including the Biu. So this equalizes the points 4-4, and now he has to worry about R&D defense. He purges virus counters, which is fine because I soon draw into my R&D interface, which I'll definitely look to use pretty soon. So the game goes on. I continue solidifying my credits because I spent a lot of credits on the early medium run to get 3 counters on it, only to have it virus wiped. So I need to solidify my economy again so that I can threaten multiple R&D runs later on. I also have the option of playing a stim hack if I do desperately need to get into any server in a pinch. But most likely I'm going to save it for running R&D. So he continues installing more stuff in the remotes. At this point, I figure that he doesn't have any agendas in hand, because if he did, he would probably have scored them by now. So I'm just going to go for the sure thing, which is an R&D dig, to collect medium counters. One very important thing to note is that if he attempts to score an Astro right now, he cannot afford to leave R&D undefended, because if he attempts to score any agenda right now, he'll be so poor that I can repeatedly medium dig his R&D and continuously turntable his agendas over to my side, which is something he cannot afford. Because all I need to do is to steal any 2 agendas right now. Could even be a 15 minutes and I would win due to turntable. This is a threat that he has to respect. So I see a toll booth on top of R&D, that's fine. This was mostly just to gather medium tokens. I need to have enough medium tokens to threaten R&D pressure. So I continue gaining credits. Katie Jones continues loading up. Next turn, I plan to liberate her and get R&DI going on R&D. That will allow me to see at least 3 cards, but potentially more with a stim hack. So at this point, something funny happens. I sack the Utopia shard. A bit late, but I still do so because I wanted to get rid of the toll booth in my opponent's hand. I saw the toll booth on R&D and I knew he mandatorily drew it, which means that he probably wants to place it on R&D. This is quite bad for me. I know I threw away my spoon, so I have very few solutions to a toll booth stuck on R&D. Besides, my econ isn't doing very well now. Every tap of Katie Jones lets me get through toll booth only once, so it is definitely not in my best interest to let him get a toll booth on R&D. Unfortunately, it didn't matter because my Utopia shard did not hit the toll booth in his hand apparently, so he was able to ice up R&D with that nasty toll booth. That's the bad news. The good news is, after he iced up R&D and clicked for credits, he was 1 credit short of getting toll booth out. So I dug R&D while I still could, while he couldn't rest toll booth, being 1 credit short. And I got to see 3 cards after he diluted agenda density by sacking Jackson. I like it that he sacked his last Jackson. It means that he has no chance of breaking R&D lock anymore, barring fast track. And more importantly, that's 1 more remote I don't have to worry about. Could be an NAPD sitting there and I wouldn't know it. Alright, so I didn't really see much. That's a big pity, and I have 1 last click left. What would you do here? I could run R&D again, and that seems like the best bet. I would get to see 4 cards. pay only 2 credits, and I would be able to steal any NAPDs if they're on top of the deck. So I think that's exactly what I do here. Nope. 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 Okay. Yes, I did not do that because I forgot what the top 3 cards were, but I think none of them were trashable. So if I were to run R&D again, I would only be seeing 1 extra card, which wasn't worth it at all. So I decided to build up my board state instead by gaining credits, because now all I need is credits to get through R&D. 3 for the toll booth, 2 for the architect. I continue drawing up, and I think I gain credits here and load KD up. Or not, I snap into the toll booth because now I want to see 2 new cards. That's fine as well. I could either play slowly or play quickly. Either way, I wasn't worried about this card. I knew it was the Sand Grid that he top decked. Yeah. Again, I'm not worried about agendas at this point because I know he has no agendas left. They are all in R&D. All I need to do is to maintain an R&D lock and I'll be fine. So I access lots of event economy. You saw lots of sweet sweets and hedge funds there, and I was 1 credit short of stealing NAPDs. Not that there were any on R&D. But he purged virus counters, and this is why RNDI is so good. You can still maintain an R&D lock by seeing at least 2 cards every successful R&D run. But here, I cannot be too complacent, so I just take credits, store money on KT, make sure that once R&D has fresh cards on top of it again, I'll be able to run in and establish R&D lock once again. He has 2 more stale cards on R&D, 2 more event cards that are coming up. So he's just going to click for credits, and I'm going to start drawing, hopefully to see more money. I still have 1 more Stim Hack in my deck. And it is at this point that I draw into a Liberator account with exactly 6 credits to my name. So why not? It's better than clicking for credits, so at this point I play it, I offload 4 credits, and then I hit KD to go up to 9. Now his R&D is more or less unlocked now, so next turn is the time to strike. I'm going to unload KD and make a run of R&D, assuming he doesn't place any new ice on it. And I know he cannot place any new ice because the only cards on the top of his deck so far are pretty useless in terms of stopping my breaker suite. So unload KD and run R&D on second click to establish a new lock and see 2 cards. I see a Sweet Week and a Pair Campaign, which I trashed. This was a mistake. Why was this a mistake? Because this means that I need to place pressure again next turn or this turn by running again. This will exhaust my final David token, after which I'm completely locked out of R&D. What I should have done was to keep the pad on R&D so that he has fewer, so that I can drag the game out a bit more, draw through my stack, and hopefully find some solution to the toll booth. Because I need to find something to replace the David that's going to run out right now. Instead, by keeping only 1 fresh card or 1 old card on R&D, he can draw through the R&D lock, and now I have to play his remote games again. So that was a mistake. I didn't think ahead in advance. So this is why I played the Earthrise. As I say, I needed to start drawing through my stack to find a solution to the toll booth. And the worst news is, on my opponent's turn, he draws the card that I saw, which was the Sweet Sweet, I believe, and starts installing a new remote, which draws him a fresh card. And then he plays the Fast Track to fetch an Astro Script into hand. This is bad. I know that one of these servers, probably this one, is the Sand Grid that will allow him to fast advance the Astro. It's in his hand right now, I need to fetch it, but I don't have my Utopia shard, and there's no legwork here. But I still need to try to contest the Astro. I cannot let him get a free Astro at this point, so I have to run HQ, force him to rest the outer ice. Eli, this is not good for me. Very expensive, but I have to give it my shot. 1 in 5 chance of hitting the Astro. Of course I don't get it. I see the Biotic label instead, which is pretty bad news. With 7 credits, he cannot score the Astro Script on the Sand, but with Biotic label, he now can. So he's going to get the Astro next turn regardless. I could try again. I could Stim Hack into HQ. That's certainly an option. But if I fail to get it, I'll be set very far back. Instead, what I'm going to do here is to focus on R&D digging, because I'm going to see at least 3 cards of R&D. Even if he scores the Astro, I can potentially swap the Astro to my score area. So I'm going to take a risk here. I'm going to play slowly, get the daily cast out, and build up for next turn, where I'll start running R&D. So we'll fast forward the video. And he gets the Astro out as expected with Biotic Labor, going down to 2 credits, but he's now on 6 points. Very dangerous. By this point, he has drawn well past my R&D log, seeing at least 2 fresh cards off the top of R&D. Who knows, one of them might have been 15 minutes of breaking news. It will be in his hand, and I can't do anything about it. HQ is too taxing. I don't have an easy way past this Eli, and I only have 1 stim hack. So what do I do here? With 4 clicks left, and not enough credits to get through R&D. Sure, I could stim hack through R&D, and that will happen at some point. In fact, judging by the fact that I have so many cards in my hand right now, I'm probably going to play the stim hack right here. 5 to get through the server and use my final David counter. With 4 extra credits, hopefully I can smash through something on R&D. So without a doubt, the stim hack goes. And hopefully I win the game right here, because if I don't, I'm probably in a lot of trouble. Wrap around, pop-up window, NAPD contract. So NAPD wasn't really what I wanted to see. What I really wanted was a 1-pointer to swap with his Astro. That would give him 5 points, which means that if he had another 1-pointer in his hand, he wouldn't straight away win. He wouldn't win straight away, rather. So I still am going to swap the NAPD for the Astro, but at this point I'm thinking it's probably not going to change the game. If he has a 2-1 in his hand, he still wins next turn. He has 2 credits, he can fast advance a 2-1. So what do I do with my final 3 clicks? Stim hack, brain an irrelevant corroder. I think back to what's left in my stack. There is still 1 more David left in my stack, and that's the card I've been looking for. The only real reliable way to get to that David is to play the Inject. Other cards in my R&D are Clone Chip, which would fetch the David because I've used 2 Clone Chips, there's 1 more left in my stack. Should I mill the David via Inject, my Clone Chip can fetch it. There's also a stim hack, 1 last stim hack left in my stack, which would be absolutely essential to get past the toll booth because I'm only on 3 credits. So I played the Inject, and luckily enough, of the 4 or 5 cards, all 3 were hit. The Clone Chip and stim hack come into my hand, and I mill the David right here. So this allowed me to go for my final plan, 1 final last ditch run on R&D to see 4 cards. 2 new cards, of which 2 are new cards. So I fetched a new David, break through the Mimic. This leaves me down to just 1 credit. Sorry, 3 credits, which means I cannot steal the final NAPD if it's in his deck. So I'm going for the run, wrap around, pop up, Astro, and I win the game. Wow, that was very close. I don't know if he had a winning 2-1 in hand, but what I did know was that post-game, he showed me all his eyes, and there was an NAPD sitting in this server. If I wasn't able to swap the scored Astro over, he would have been able to score the NAPD in this server with the Astro token. Either way, that was too close for comfort, but you can see how powerful this Breaker Suite is. Short of breaking Eli's, it is very efficient for everything else, and Ichi's of course. That is a job that is meant for Atman 4, which I didn't need to bring out this game, thankfully. Instead, I could focus my stim hacks on making value R&D runs. The R&D I combined with the medium did a lot of work in giving me enough accesses to win. I accessed R&D, a lot of cards from R&D, and I think I deserve the 4 agendas I hit from there. Well, so that's a game of Wizard versus NEH. As you can see, the matchup's not that bad, even though I don't run Clot, and Anarchs are typically slower than Criminals and even Shapers perhaps. The fact is, with your 3 recurring credits to plow through R&D by trashing Jackson Howards and all, combined with Turntable's ability to swap agendas, meaning that the court has to play slower, make sure that R&D is safe, it gives you a lot of room against even fast robotics, to the point where you can actually have a decent win rate against it. So, pretty interesting game. Hope you enjoyed the strategic insights that I've been giving. Thanks for watching. Happy net running. Goodbye.